deepfake or AI-generated contents have come a long way. As technology advances, deepfake or AI-generated contents have become more convincing. In the context of online fraud, scammers use deepfake in a variety of ways. The first aspect is impersonation. For example, in the case of romance scams. And the most well-known impersonation scam happened with a Hong Kong entity that lost millions of dollars to scammers during a deepfake video interview. The second aspect is using AI-generated content, for example, in the case of identity fraud, creating synthetic identity or manipulated existing identity during the onboarding process. We do also see that alarming trend where IA being used in, for example, during the liveness check, where you have a real-time overlay of IA deepfake. That's a very good question. So when new technology emerges, businesses take some time to actually adopt. So we do see for adoptions of the document authentication, virtual onboarding is coming up to speed. Related to that is also in terms of prioritizations. Of course, the fraud has multiple aspects. Credit card fraud is very different from deepfake scam, etc. So companies all prioritize different technology, and that will come into the picture at some point in time. The third aspect that we see is that in some countries, a large portions of the populations have not fully adopted internet banking. So banks are actually rely on still very traditional method for onboarding new customers. And the fourth aspect is regulatory requirements. For example, in the EU, where most of the countries follow an umbrella set of rules and requirements. In APAC, we don't have that kind of umbrella environment. So each country will have their own data privacy, data residency, data localization requirements, and that makes things more complex. Now, that's another good question. So when you look at fraud or online fraud in general, there's no one size fits all. A credit card fraud is very different from an online scam, for example, or a money mule. So banks rely on multi-layers approach to actually detect this kind of anomalies. So when you look at identity, there are two aspects. The physical identity, basically your name, your birthday, your place, your address, for example. And then there's a digital side of things where you interact online. As you interact online, you leave, for example, you use your email, you use a device, you use the IP address, and so on. So there are two aspects to it. The third aspect is, of course, behavioral intelligence, behavioral anomalies. A genuine user behaves differently from a fraudster, but also a genuine user that is under stress also behave differently from the historical pattern of that user. And the third aspect is, of course, the last aspect is, of course, when actually companies or banks are sharing information among themselves in the form of consortium or in from some kind of information sharing arrangement.